and welcome to this Talk Money Week mini podcast. So today I am joined by our marketing manager, Ruben. So Ruben and I are both getting married next year. So as you can imagine, with relationships and weddings comes a lot of financial stress, financial challenges, and it's also a really good opportunity to talk to partners about money. So that is exactly what us two are going to be discussing today. We're going to be sort of diving into the world of financial intimacy. So then, Rubes, what do you think was the hardest part of planning the wedding? Have you got any survival tips that you and Harry have sort of stuck to?
Oh, where to start? I think when it comes to firstly talking about money, this is one of those prime times when you're planning a wedding or doing something as a couple where you absolutely need to be 100% on the same page, open, honest, having those. Sometimes they are difficult conversations. I've definitely had to have them with my other half. We have very different viewpoints on money and how to approach it. But when it comes to actual wedding, I think it is just that being very upfront, setting expectations with each other of what you want in a wedding, and then kind of how can that wedding fit into your kind of current financial situation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you want to be able to do is have an amazing life experience and moment, but one that isn't going to bankrupt you or put you in a unhealthy financial situation.
Yeah.
Survival tip, don't get married. No, I'm just kidding. Survival tip for it, I think it is being very strict with yourself. So again, setting those expectations with each other, and it's the classic setting a budget, because they always, you read it everywhere, they always say you're going to go over. But if you can be really strict with yourself, knowing that you are going to be able to have what you want, then I think it's just that. It's just being quite like strict with yourself, but obviously it's a special moment. You don't want to take that away from it, so it can be difficult. So yeah, upfront and strict. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think for us too as well, it was both of us getting involved. It wasn't like just one person taking on the whole responsibility of figuring out, how we're going to pay for it, how we're going to budget for it. It's something that we've done together. I mean, if it was up to Nathan, he'd just stick his head in the sand and be like, you just deal with it. But it was a good opportunity for us to like get involved and start talking to one another about money. So if we go way back when to our first dates, how long ago was that for you? 5 years?
It was back in 2015. So yeah, just over 6 years ago.
Oh, wow. So when you went on your first date, did you split the bill, or was one of you the gentleman?
I think Harry paid the bill, actually. I think he snuck paying the bill for the food in there, and then we went out we went to the cinema afterwards. It was a very cliche first date, and I think maybe I then bought the cinema tickets and drinks after. But I do remember him disappearing, and then the bill was miraculously paid, which was very nice of him.
Do you think he'd done a runner?
Yeah, I was like, is he coming back? Was it that bad?
I think that's the thing again with first dates. Like, for me, I'd always want to pay 50-50, and I think that's how ours went. We went out and like for drinks. I think it was one round I did it, one round he did it, and vice versa. So, and that's kind of been the theme of our whole relationship. Like, we just take it in turns, and I mean, all of our money is in one pot, but even then it's still like one of us will go and pay, then the other one will go and pay. So on the sort of topic of salaries and spending and all that kind of thing, when did you sort of first have them conversations with Harry about what his attitude towards debt were, or what his salary was, or have you even had them conversations with him?
Yeah, in terms of finding out things like salary, I don't think we ever. It wasn't one of my first date questions. So what are you earning? I think it was a very natural finding things out when he was looking for another job, and it was, what are your salary expectations? Like, what kind of jobs are you looking for? When I was helping him, and then he got a job, and you talk about those kind of things, what the company is, all that stuff. So that was just a very organic thing. Attitudes towards debt and approach to money. He was really open and honest with me. Really from the get-go, from when he I think it was in the early months, he was in the process of buying a car which he used I think he got a loan out for it, and he was really open about that. And that again, it wasn't, you know, we were in the midst of an early relationship, but because you're comfortable and confident in your financial situation, it makes it easier to talk about those things. And especially with no judgment from my part. Like, I wouldn't ever judge someone for any reason for being in debt or wanting to get a loan out, because they can absolutely enable you for certain things, to get what you will get, certain things you want or need, more importantly. But though, yeah, again, it was just, maybe we're too honest, but, you know, the theme of talking about money was very open and honest, and myself as well. And my approach, I'm quite a frugal person, I think, so I'm always talking about money. So yeah, what about you? Was that like a factor or anything with what you and Nathan talked about?
Yeah, so actually I had gone through something with an ex-partner, which I now know that, you know, that was financial abuse. So I had quite a lot of debt that I was carrying. So right from day one, you know, I said, look, this is my situation. This is where, you know, a good portion of my salary is going. And I think, one, Nathan respected that I'd been honest with him, and two, I think he liked that I wasn't afraid to talk about that, and I didn't feel like it had to be, you know, this elephant in the room in our relationship. But saying that, it's not always been that way for me. You know, I did definitely feel a little bit of shame surrounding that, and I think that kind of brought us together. I think talking about money and being open about the mistakes we've made, or, you know, the poor financial choices we've perhaps made, set us off on a really good path, that if one of us ever did perhaps make a bit of a mistake, or, you know, overspend, then we wouldn't have to hide it. But I don't know about you. Do you think that money can bring us together? I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't.
I've been thinking about this a lot, because I think it, like you said, it's a double-edged sword. It's a fine line, and finding that right balance. You know, money, absolutely. You know, if you're Gabs, if you're volunteering to pay for me to go on holiday, money is going to bring us together very well.
We will become besties.
We will be very close for a very long time. Pay my mortgage, please. But personally, and this is just my attitude to money, but how I view it in my life, fundamentally for me, it puts a roof over my head, it pays my bills, it gets me to work, it enables me to have a wedding and a mate, and the one that I kind of want. But that's so those kind of luxuries in life. But from a just life and happiness in general, I don't think it really brings you together. I think there's more important things, and that's why I don't think we should ever let money get in our way, because, and I don't want to sound too deep, but I think money can more push us apart, because that I feel like sometimes there are more in day-to-day life, there's more challenges with money. So for me, it's about being comfortable with it, being confident with money. You don't have to have a lot of money to be confident with it. It's just knowing what you're doing with the money that you have. So that's me. I don't know if that's too negative a way of looking at it, because I'm sure everyone wants more money, but yeah, for me it's more about that confidence in handling the money that you do have. What do you think?
100%. I think money is really there to pay the necessities, and all the sort of luxury stuff comes after it, and those necessities sometimes bring challenges. You know, sometimes you have those months where your bills are really high, or the car's broken down, and that can bring awkwardness or, you know, challenging conversations. So it kind of brings us on to thinking about, is it the best way forward to work through those challenges together and both of you make equal decisions, or do people sort of, one of you makes decisions, let's say, about the household spending, and then the other one makes decisions about how much we're saving or where we're saving our money? What's it like for you and Harry? You know, does one of you earn more than the other? Is that the one thing that drives that person to make the decisions?
Yeah, I think there are times where we're all sensitive to money. I think naturally, I can't speak for everyone, but I know that for me, I was raised that you don't really talk about money. Looking back now, I'm like, why? You know, the things we're talking about now, and it does play such a big part in our world. Why do we not talk about money? Why are we not open about the challenges that come with, the difficulties that come with? And I think yeah, again, that can push people apart, especially when you're trying to have a balanced, equal relationship. But things like earning different amounts, having different incomes, or things that you may have to pay for, whether it's past uni costs, or maybe one of you's contributing more to your pension. I'm trying to think of all the things that come out of a pay packet now. But all those things affect what your ultimate income the income is. And when you're trying to, pay for things equally, but one isn't earning the same amount, it can kind of incite that. I wouldn't. Is the word resentment? I don't know if it's resentment, but maybe it is resentment. Maybe it's jealousy, or like, you insecure that you're not able to match the other person if they are earning more than you. And I think, yeah, honestly, I think that there have been times, but through the years, through open conversations, and that trust in the other person. So I think when it comes down to it, it's trust. It's showing the vulnerability with something, for me, where you have been kind of told not to talk about money, or it's improper, or it's not the right thing to do, to then be in a situation where, oh no, you can and you should be, and it's going to help us. So yeah, I think massively it's what influences me in my relationship today is what I was taught when I was a child, I think, and even just experiences around money with my family. What do you think around how that kind of impacts you where you are today?
Yeah, it's about having that transparency. I think as a younger person, I was very shy about my money. Like, I felt almost, like say, embarrassed to talk about it. But then I think going through a difficult and challenging time made me be much more transparent. And obviously working for Nudge, like, we talk about money all day, every day. So for me, it's quite a normal thing to talk about anyway. Yeah. But I also know that that's not, the case for individuals and for couples. So I think for me, I'm like you, I always talk about money. It's a big part of my life. I never want to like be in a situation where I feel like I'm hiding things from people. Although, when it comes to financial transparency, there are a few things I still like to keep to myself that I don't think Nathan knows about.
That's through shopping, by
he probably
chance.
does now. This podcast comes out. But yeah, I think it's very important, I think, to understand as a couple, what's yours, what's mine, and what's ours, and understanding, who's responsible for what, and do try and have that transparency. I mean, sometimes there are obviously things that, like, for example, Nathan kept telling me that he wasn't earning as much because his wages change month to month, and this was before Christmas and my birthday, and I was thinking, that's odd, like, he's worked quite a lot. But then when Christmas came around, he was like, this is where my savings have been going, like, I've been just sneaking a little bit away from you. So there are times when
it does work out.
It does work out, yeah.
In your favor.
Yeah, we've all got to have our secrets, I think. And I think that financial intimacy, is it the ultimate vulnerability? I think that's a tough one. I think, again, you just have to keep having these conversations. What's yours, what's mine, what's ours, who's responsible for what, factor in a little bit of fun as well, because we don't want, talking about money for anyone, especially, in terms of weddings, to be boring or hassle or a headache. You want it to be a fun sort of team activity that you do together.
That's where I think maybe it's just planning a wedding in general. I don't know about you, but I think everyone knows the cost that goes into it. And I think I went in a bit blind and naive for what you think is a simple thing to do. It's not. And then I found myself really taking the joy out of it for a while when we were planning things and looking at things to book or do for the wedding, and then we're still in the stage of planning our honeymoon. But yeah, because you're for me, it was always, okay, so we want this type of thing, but then you've got this cost, and then this, and then it just becomes money, and it is important. Because to be safe and secure with your financial situation, you do have to keep a good eye on it, but don't let that take over the fun, because then it's not worth it. Because then you're not enjoying the entire experience. So that's my counselling session for today.
So we've pretty much come to an end of our podcast. I think we've shared some, good tips and tricks. The main thing from it is just to obviously, number one, talk about it. Number two, make it fun and try and have that transparency. So other than the wedding then, on a final note, what is yours and Harry's financial future looking like? Are you sort of got things planned out? Is it a little bit messy? Is it magical?
Ooh, see above. No, see all of the above.
All of them.
I would say that we've got a bit of work to do for it to be magical. And day to day, I think it's planned out. We've got a few things in there in our kind of financial sphere that we've got to be conscious of, such as recently getting on the housing ladder, which was amazing, but we used one of the government schemes, which is an additional financial situation on top of a normal mortgage that we need to think about how we're going to deal with that and pay that off. And you know, having the wedding coming up as well as you know, the fundamentals of kind of money management, of paying your day-to-day finances, but looking at like you're having a healthy savings bucket for those emergency rainy days where the car might decide that it doesn't want to go anymore, and I have a feeling that's coming up soon, so let's touch wood on that. So yeah, so I think it's planned out, but whether it needs
whether it goes to plan,
but whether it goes to plan is a different question, Gabs. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and ultimately, yeah, just make sure that we're constantly talking, we're paying attention, we're not ahead in the clouds, and learning from each other, but also outside of that, and using kind of, you know, what's available to us to continue to make the best financial decisions or movements for us.
Definitely.
And we'll and to end it, I'm going to flip it back on you and Nathan. Financial future, magical?
I think it is looking kind of magical, you know.
Amazing.
I know. So I think we both just can't wait to not be skint. Like we can't wait to just have a little bit of financial freedom and then enjoy like married life. And we've had conversations about, right, we are going to have this extra money, but we do need to then start making sure we've got our emergency fund sorted. We've put in more into pensions because we've both not got vast amounts in our pension. So they're two of the goals. But other than that, I think for us, it's just having a little bit of fun. Yeah. Like, and just really enjoying that time after the past sort of year, and then the year to come, saving up for a massive wedding. Because obviously, you know, I'm having two.
The be all or end all, really, isn't it?
So I'm looking forward to just a little bit of fun, I think, and enjoying ourselves.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, magical.
Well, thank you for joining us. Hopefully those listening have learned a little bit about love, money and marriage, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much, Rubes.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone.